In life, many people often fall into the habit of comparing themselves to others. We ask ourselves, why can't I be like them? Or, they seem happier and more successful than me. This comparison makes us feel dissatisfied with ourselves and with our current lives. Today, with the rise of social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, comparison has become more common than ever. Every day, we see polished photos and seemingly perfect lives of others, and we begin to feel inferior, like we're not good enough. But the truth is, those images only show a small part, and sometimes an unrealistic version of their lives. This story is for those who feel unhappy with themselves and believe others are living happier lives. Through a simple yet profound fable, we'll realize that everyone faces their own struggles, and true happiness doesn't come from becoming someone else. It comes from loving and appreciating who we really are. When we learn to be grateful for what we have, stop comparing, and embrace ourselves, that is the true secret to happiness. One day, a crow was flying through the sky and landed on a branch near a pond. From above, it saw a swan peacefully swimming in the water. The swan's pure white feathers glistened under the sunlight, attracting admiration from the villagers. They stopped to admire the swan, smiling and chatting joyfully. Meanwhile, when they noticed the crow, they immediately shooed it away. "Are they afraid I'll make this place dirty?" thought the crow sadly. Quietly, the crow flew away, carrying a heavy heart. It flew deep into the forest, landed on a quiet branch, and began to cry. "If only I had white feathers like the swan," it whispered. "Maybe people would love me too." Just then, an old crow flew by and saw the young one crying. "Why are you so sad?" the old crow asked. The young crow sobbed, "I hate my ugly black feathers. Nobody likes me." The old crow smiled gently and asked, "If you could be any bird, who would you choose to be?" "A swan," the young crow replied instantly. "Everyone loves swans." The old crow nodded and said, "There's a magical spring deep in the forest. If you bathe in its water with a pure heart, you can become the bird you desire. But before you go, ask the swan if it's truly happy." The crow nodded and returned to the pond, filled with a glimmer of hope. It flew close to the swan and asked, "Are you the happiest bird in the world?" The swan quietly replied, "I may look beautiful, but I'm not free. When I grow old, they might kill me for my meat. I live in fear." The crow was stunned. It turned out that outward beauty doesn't always mean true happiness. After hearing the swan's sad confession, the crow felt confused. It had always believed the swan was the symbol of happiness, admired and beautiful. But in reality, the swan lived in fear and captivity. Then, who is truly happy? The crow asked. The swan thought for a moment and said, "Maybe the parrot. It has more colorful feathers than I do, and people don't eat parrots." With a bit of hope, the crow flew off in search of a parrot. Eventually, it found one sitting quietly on a branch. "Hello, dear parrot," the crow greeted. "Your feathers are so beautiful. Surely you must be the happiest bird." The parrot sighed. "Yes, my feathers are pretty, but that's exactly why people put me in cages. I never get to fly freely like you. I've spent my life behind bars, always afraid." The crow listened sadly and asked, "Then which bird do you think is the happiest?" The parrot replied, "Perhaps the peacock. People love its dazzling feathers, and they give it a big cage in the zoo." Hearing that, the crow flew straight to the zoo to meet the peacock. It saw the bird proudly displaying its colorful feathers, drawing admiration from the crowd. "Dear peacock," the crow said, you're the most beautiful bird I've ever seen. You must be truly happy, right?" The peacock looked at the crow and said, "No, my friend. People pluck my feathers to sell them, and it's very painful. I'm kept in captivity, never free. I wish I could be like you, a crow who can fly wherever he wants without being noticed or disturbed." The crow was speechless. For the first time, it realized that the freedom it always took for granted was something other birds deeply longed for. Listening to the peacock's heartfelt words, the crow suddenly understood. It had flown all over, searching for the happiest bird, only to realize that every bird has its own burden. The peacock, admired and dazzling, suffers painful loss and confinement. The swan lives in fear of being killed. The parrot spends its life locked away, robbed of freedom just because of its beauty. Meanwhile, the crow, seemingly ordinary and often shunned, possesses something priceless: freedom. Gently, the crow flew back to the old forest, the same place it once wept in sadness. But this time, its heart was full of gratitude. It found the old crow and said, "I don't want to be anyone else anymore. I just want to be myself, a crow, free to soar the skies." The old crow smiled. "At last, you understand. Happiness doesn't come from being someone else. It comes from how you see yourself and how you value what you already have." The story ends there, but its lesson echoes on. Each of us has something precious within. When we stop comparing and start appreciating, happiness comes naturally. You don't need to be a swan, a parrot, or a peacock. You only need to be yourself, a one-of-a-kind version no one else can replace.